Dear students, today we will discuss a new topic, that is need for approximate methods. Okay, need for approximate methods in quantum chemistry. The immediate question that comes to our mind is, why do we require approximate methods? As I already told you in the previous class, okay, why we need approximate methods. The answer to this question I had already given in the last class, because the Schrodinger wave equation cannot be solved. For which type of system it cannot be solved? Schrodinger wave equation cannot be solved for atoms containing more than one electron. So Schrodinger wave equation can be solved only for hydrogen atom and hydrogen like ions which contain one electron. It cannot be solved for uh, systems that contain more than one electron. Why is it so? Why can't we solve Schrodinger wave equation? Why can't we solve Schrodinger wave equation? That is the next question. Okay, why can't we solve Schrodinger wave equation? The answer to this question is based on the method that we have used for solving the Schrodinger wave equation. How did we solve the Schrodinger wave equation? The Schrodinger wave equation was solved by a method, okay, called as method of separation of variables. Okay, method of separation of variables. And this method we had effectively used in solving the Schrodinger wave equation for hydrogen atom. Now, the question about whether a Schrodinger wave equation can be solved or not depends on whether the variables can be separated. If the variables can be separated, you can solve the Schrodinger wave equation. If the variables cannot be separated, you cannot solve the Schrodinger wave equation. Now, the important criteria or the point that we should remember is, when are the variables separable? When can you separate variables? Okay, so remember, the variables can be separated, or the variables are separable if and only if the variables are independent variables. If and only if the variables are independent variables. So please remember this point. You can apply the method of separation of variables, that is, you can separate the variables if and only if the variables are independent. If the variables are dependent on each other, it is not possible to separate the two variables, and you therefore cannot solve the Schrodinger wave equation. Okay, for hydrogen atom or hydrogen like atoms or ions, the total wave function, you remember, it depends on the position of one electron, that is psi of xyz, or you can also write it in terms of spherical polar coordinate, psi of r theta phi. So the wave function depends on the position of the single electron present in the system, and we can here make an assumption that these three variables x, y, z or r theta phi are independent variables, and therefore you can write the overall wave function psi is product of three functions which we wrote as r of r into t of theta into f of phi. So this is the essential step of method of separation of variable. The total wave function can be written as product of three functions, each function depending on one variable. Okay, when can you write this equation? If the variables are independent variables. Since here r, theta and phi are independent variables, we can separate the variables. But when it comes to system containing more than one electron, say for example helium atom containing two electrons, or lithium atom containing 3 electrons. For this I will show you the slide that I had discussed in the previous class. Okay, so this is the slide that I had used for explaining the Schrodinger wave equation of helium atom. So if you see here, this is the wave function, the overall wave function of helium atom. Remember I told you the wave function depends on 6 variables x1, y1, z1, which I can collectively call it as q1. Okay, it is a collective symbol representing the position of the first electron. x2, y2, z2, which I will collectively call it as q2. It is the symbol representing the position of the second electron. So the overall wave function can be either written as a function depending on 6 variables or a function depending on 2 variables q1 and q2. Similarly, I'll show you the next slide. Okay, here this slide is dedicated for lithium atom. Here also, if you look at the bottom part of this slide, here I have written the wave function for lithium atom. The wave function depends on 9 variables x1, y1, z1, x2, y2, z2, x3, y3, z3, which are nothing but the position coordinate of first electron, second electron, and the third electron. Here also I can make similar notations. Okay, q1, q2, q3 are the collective symbols for the positions of first electron, second and third electron. So you can write wave function as depending on 3 variables q1, q2, q3. Okay, so I will write all these things in a new slide. Okay, so for helium atom, the overall wave function psi q is psi of q1 comma q2. Similarly, for lithium atom, the wave function psi can be written as psi of q1 comma q2 comma q3. Now the question is, can I write this as psi of q1 into psi of q2? Is this possible? Similarly, here can I write this as psi of q1 into psi of q2 into psi of q3? This is nothing but this method of separation of variable. Okay, we are trying to separate q1 from q2 in case of helium atom. In lithium atom, we are trying to separate q1, q2 and q3. So the question is, can I write these equations? That is, whether the method of separation of variable is applicable. How to answer this question? Whether the variables are separable or not depends on whether q1 and q2 are independent variables or not. To answer this, let me draw the structure of helium atom again. Okay, whatever I am discussing for helium atom, you can apply it for lithium atom or any atom with more than one electron. Okay, so you have two electrons, one here and the other here. So this I will take as 1, this I will take it as 2. q1 or x1, y1, z1 is the position of the first electron. q2, x2, y2, z2 is the position of the second electron. Now the question whether q1 and q2 are dependent or independent. I mean to ask whether x1, y1, z1 depends on x2, y2, z2 or not. The answer to this is the position of one electron is dependent on the position of second electron. Why? Because there is a definite interaction between the two electrons, which is nothing but the electron-electron repulsion. You know that electrons repel each other. So if this first electron is moving, say for example in this direction, this the second electron immediately will come under the influence of the incoming electron. Okay, when this electron number 1 approaches the second electron, okay, there will be a greater force of repulsion experienced by the second electron. So what this second electron will do, it will try to move away from the first electron. So there is a change in the position of the second electron because of the movement of the first electron. The same argument holds good in the other way also. Suppose if the second electron is moving towards the first, then immediately the position of the first electron will be disturbed. this first electron will try to move away from the second electron, incoming second electron, to minimize the repulsion. Okay, so what we are observing is the position coordinate of the first electron depends on the position coordinate of the second electron. On the other hand, the position of the first electron is also dependent on the position of the second electron. Therefore, we cannot assume q1 and q2 as independent variables. They are dependent variables. So remember, q1 and q2 are dependent variables. Dependent variables. Here, similarly, here q1, q2 and q3 are also dependent variables. I hope you have understood the explanation why they are dependent variables. Now, since these variables are dependent on each other, the method of separation of variables cannot be applied. So this equality, I had asked a question whether this equality holds good. No, this equality does not hold good. We cannot write this method of separation of variables. Why? Because they are um, a, dependent on each other. Okay, so why we cannot separate the variables? Because the variables are dependent. And why the variables are dependent? Because of the electron repulsion. So the electron repulsion, because of the electron repulsion, okay, I will write like this: because of the electron repulsion, the variables cannot be separated. Okay, so why can't the variables be separated? Because of the presence of electron repulsion. Suppose in nature, if there was no repulsion between electron, then this question would have not raised. If there was no electron repulsion, it means there is no interaction, any type of interaction between these two electrons. Then in that case, each of the electron would have moved independent of each other. That is, the position of the first electron would have not depended on the position of the second electron. So in that case, q1 and q2 would have been independent variables, and in such cases it was possible to apply the method of separation of variable and solve the Schrodinger wave equation. But we cannot avoid this. There is a electron repulsion existing between the electrons. Therefore the variables are dependent on each other and they cannot be separated. So remember, the Schrodinger wave equation cannot be solved for multi-electron atoms. I will write here, therefore Schrodinger wave equation cannot be solved for multi-electronic systems. You all know that once you solve Schrodinger wave equation, you obtain two things. One is the energy of the system, total energy of the system. The other is the wave function. But since we cannot solve the Schrodinger wave equation for most of the system, we cannot have any information about the energy or its wave function. So in such case, how to proceed? Because there should be some alternative way or alternative method through which we can find out the energy and the wave function. Those alternative methods are nothing but called as approximate methods. Okay, so these approximate methods are nothing but the alternative mathematical methods that are developed for solving the Schrodinger wave equation for uh, different systems. Okay, I would not say solving the Schrodinger wave equation. These are the alternative methods through which we can find out what would be the energy and the wave function. uh, there are different methods, approximate methods, that we use in quantum chemistry. The method which would give an energy value or a wave function expression very close to the true values or very close to the true function will be considered as the best approximation method. Remember, as the name suggests, it is an approximate method, so you cannot find the exact thing, but at least we should try to find out the values which is very close to the true value. There are several approximate methods that are discussed. The two prominent approximate methods that are used in quantum mechanics, okay, are, okay, the two prominent approximate methods that are used is one, variation method. The second is perturbation method. Okay, each method has its own advantage. In most of the cases, this perturbation method gives better result compared to variation method. The certain limitations of variation method are overcome by the perturbation method. But as per your syllabus, we will concentrate only on the first method, that is variation method. Okay, so what is this variation method? Let us try to understand. This variation method is based on a very important theorem called as variation theorem. This variation theorem, which I am going to state now, it can be actually proved mathematically. Okay, but we need not prove here, it is not in your syllabus. So what is variation theorem? Let us try to understand. What I will do is I will parallelly try to explain you what is this variation method. Now let us go back to the fourth postulate of quantum mechanics. Okay, the fourth postulate of quantum mechanics. I hope you might have uh, forgotten. This was very long ago I had taught you the postulates of quantum mechanics, so there may be a chance that you might have forgotten it. I request you to go back and understand or remind yourself what is this fourth postulate of quantum mechanics. Now here, because we cannot solve Schrodinger wave equation, we do not know what is the exact function psi. Okay, so let psi represent the eigenfunction of the system, which I do not know. Why I don't know the eigenfunction? Because I cannot solve the Schrodinger wave equation. Without the eigenfunction, I cannot calculate any property of the system. For example, I cannot calculate energy, or I cannot calculate momentum, or I cannot calculate kinetic energy. So what I do in this variation method is I use an alternative function which is called as trial function. Let me say the trial function is phi. So I am using a alternative function which is called as trial function. You can have numerous number of mathematical function. Okay, there are millions of mathematical functions. Can I select any one random mathematical function as trial function? The answer is no. When I am selecting a trial function, there are some prerequisite criteria for how to select a trial function. First important criteria is this trial function should be a well behaved function. What do you mean by a well behaved function? It should be finite, single valued, and continuous, and it should also satisfy the boundary condition of the system. Okay, and also it should be normalizable. Okay, it should satisfy the boundary condition of the system, and it should be normalizable. Okay, and along with this, I should use my previous knowledge, okay, that I know about the system while selecting the trial function. So what I have done is I have selected a trial function, a alternative mathematical function to describe the state of the system. I know that this is not the exact function because the exact function is this eigenfunction psi, which unfortunately I don't know. So I am selecting a trial function. Once you are using a wave function which is different from the eigenfunction, we cannot find out the exact value of any quantity. What we can find out is only an expectation value or average value, which is nothing but the fourth postulate of quantum mechanics. So if I am working with a wave function which is different from the eigenfunction, then at best I can calculate the average value of a physical quantity, not the exact value. So how to find out that average value or expectation value? That is given by a equation that I discussed in fourth postulate of quantum mechanics. Okay, I will erase this thing. Okay, I will rewrite it later. Okay, so according to fourth postulate of quantum mechanics, the average value or expectation or average value of a physical quantity. Okay, take it as m bar. The physical quantity is m. Okay, physical quantity is m. Its average value or expectation value is m bar. Okay, it is given by the formula m bar, okay, is equal to integration minus infinity to plus infinity phi star, that is the complex conjugate of the trial function, into the operator m, which corresponds to this quantity, into function trial function phi into volume element d tau divided by integration minus infinity to plus infinity phi star into phi into d tau. Say for example, if I want to calculate average energy, how do you write the expression? E bar would be equal to, okay, I will write here, E bar is equal to same expression minus infinity to plus infinity integration minus infinity to plus infinity phi star. What is the operator